They laughed before she even reached the center of the alien court. A human maintenance worker in a grey civilian uniform did not belong beneath 12 military judges discussing vanished fleets. The magistrate waited until the room settled, then activated the war map above her. You filed a report claiming you saw movement during blackout. Yes. A commander leaned forward. Sector Line 17 was blind. She looked at the projection calmly. It was dark, not blind. The answer cut through the chamber. Then she raised one hand and pointed, not where command had searched, but to a lower forgotten corridor no civilian should have noticed. The first reaction came from the commander seated nearest the projection. He leaned forward slowly, eyes narrowing as her finger remained fixed on the lower corridor, as if he expected that at any moment she would realize she had chosen the wrong place and withdraw her hand. She did not move. The forgotten route glowed beneath the main tactical layers, thin, almost hidden under brighter military paths, ignored because it no longer appeared in active navigation reviews. The magistrate studied the corridor, then looked back at her. That route is inactive. No, she said calmly. It is unused by command. A faint shift passed across the chamber. Not agreement, attention, because those were different things. The commander activated another layer over the map, widening the corridor and revealing surrounding relay lines. State exactly what you saw. 3 units crossed here during blackout. Ships? No. Drones first. The answer came too quickly to sound invented. A younger officer on the right frowned. You counted drones during total station darkness? I counted because one arrived late. That drew immediate silence. The magistrate leaned closer. Late? She nodded toward the route. Station blackout falls in descending sequence. Relay 12 dropped second instead of last. The younger officer checked the blackout sequence, then looked up, because she was right. The order had been reversed. A minor technical inconsistency, small enough that command had ignored it while searching for enemy movement, but not small to someone who repaired station systems every day. The commander spoke again, slower now. You noticed one relay timing error and concluded fleet passage? No. She kept her eyes on the map. I noticed the third drone stayed too clean. The chamber paused. No one understood immediately. She explained before they asked. Maintenance drones crossing relay shafts collect thermal dust. The third one did not. The commander's expression changed, because now the logic began fitting together. A clean drone meant wider passage. Wider passage meant something larger had moved first. The magistrate activated deeper tactical layers. Old support lines appeared beneath the corridor. For the first time, 2 officers exchanged uneasy looks. Because the route she indicated connected to a lower military seam, no civilian file should even display clearly. The magistrate asked, "How do you know this corridor exists?" She answered without hesitation. Because maintenance walls still carry old markings beneath new paint. That answer landed harder than expected. Not dramatic, just precise enough to feel dangerous. The younger officer spoke almost to himself. Old structural maps. The commander looked back at her. And what crossed after the drones? Now the room waited differently. No laughter, no dismissal. Only a silence that had begun to understand her answers were costing command more than they liked. She looked at the lower seam again, then said quietly, something that moved, like it did not want military censors looking down. And for the first time since she entered the chamber, the magistrate stopped seeing a civilian witness and began seeing someone who had noticed the war before command admitted it had started. The magistrate raised one hand, and the map expanded across the chamber. More tactical layers appeared, relay lines, abandoned service paths, old military seams hidden beneath active fleet routes. What had looked like a forgotten lower corridor now touched 3 separate sectors command had already cleared as irrelevant. The silver-marked commander stood. That alone changed the atmosphere. Until then, the hearing had still carried traces of ceremony. The moment he stepped down from the upper row, it became military again. You said it moved like something avoiding downward sensors, he said. Explain. She looked at the lower corridor before answering. Because the drones entered first. Or why does that matter? They were measuring spacing. The younger officer frowned. Maintenance drones do not measure military spacing. These were not maintenance drones anymore. A silence followed. The commander activated a recorded blackout feed. Grainy footage from the outer relay sector flickered above them, mostly darkness, interrupted by weak thermal traces. There, she said. A small shape crossed the feed, then another, then a third. At first, they looked identical. But once enlarged, the third held center line too perfectly, too balanced, too deliberate. The younger officer leaned closer. That stabilizer angle, the commander saw it too. Military correction. Tiny, almost invisible, but impossible to miss once noticed. The third drone had flown with disciplined alignment, not civilian drift. The magistrate spoke more carefully now. You are saying someone disguised military movement inside maintenance traffic? Yes, and command missed it because you were tracking ships. Again, her answer came without challenge, only fact. That made it harder to resist. The silver-marked commander shifted the map lower, following the route beyond the blackout zone, then stopped. Because the corridor did not end where official records said it ended. A faint continuation appeared beneath old relay architecture, almost erased. The younger officer stared. That extension should not exist. It exists, she said quietly. Your current maps stop too early. Now several judges leaned forward. For the first time, what she said no longer sounded like observation from below. It sounded like someone reading something command itself had forgotten. The magistrate narrowed his eyes. How would a maintenance worker know current maps stopped too early? She did not answer immediately. Instead, she pointed again, this time lower, toward a bend beneath sector line 17. The room froze. Because that bend touched a route so old, it no longer carried an active designation. A dead corridor, officially sealed after treaty restructuring decades earlier. No one in civilian sectors should have recognized it by sight. The commander's voice lowered. Who taught you old corridor memory? My father repaired outer hull stations. Military stations? Stations old enough to still keep painted walls. That answer landed with strange weight. Old stations meant old markings. Old markings meant routes preserved physically long after files changed. The younger officer checked the bend, then his expression shifted. Because the lower seam aligned perfectly with blackout timing. If movement had entered there, command had been searching one sector too high the entire time. The magistrate looked at the commander looked at the map, then back at her, and asked the question that changed the hearing completely. If that dead corridor reopened, he paused. Then, where does it lead now? This time, she did not point immediately. She studied the map like someone checking whether command was finally looking in the right place. Then, she lifted her hand and touched a hidden line no one in the chamber had enlarged yet. The moment her finger stopped, two command officers reacted at once, because she had just placed her hand on a military support route buried so deeply that even some judges above had never seen it active. And suddenly, the hearing was no longer about whether she had seen something. It was about how much she already understood. The commander did not speak immediately. He stepped closer to the projection until the light from the map crossed his face, studying the line her finger now touched. A support route hidden beneath the dead corridor, so deeply buried in tactical layers that it only appeared when old military architecture overlapped abandoned logistics grids. One of the judges broke the silence first. That route is restricted. The human lowered her hand. Yes. The answer came so calmly that the room shifted again. Not because she admitted knowing it, because she admitted it without surprise. The younger tactical officer activated another layer and checked the route's designation. No public name appeared. Only an internal coded line ending beneath eastern sectors where active fleet command should not have existed. He looked up sharply. This route was removed from civic archives, she answered, not from maintenance walls. The magistrate leaned forward. How old are these walls you keep mentioning? Older than your current court? That sentence landed harder than expected, because the chamber itself sat inside a rebuilt military foundation. Everyone present knew the structure had existed long before it became ceremonial. The commander studied her. "You are telling this court that old wall markings preserved a route command buried? I'm saying paint is less careful than archives." That drew the first visible reaction from the older judge on the far side, because he understood immediately how dangerous that answer was. Hidden systems often survived physically long after authority assumed they were forgotten. The commander returned to the map. If this route stayed hidden, he enlarged the lower line. What crossed through it? This time she answered without hesitation. Not fleet size, escort size. The younger officer frowned. Why escort? Because the drones stayed centered. Again, silence. She continued. Large ships force wider thermal disturbance. The blackout did not widen enough. The younger officer checked thermal drift records, then looked toward the commander. She's right. Heat spread is too narrow, which meant something smaller than fleet mass had crossed first, but large enough to require military concealment. The magistrate's tone changed now, less skeptical, more precise. How many escorts? She looked at the line. Enough to make someone hide timing errors. The commander narrowed his eyes. That is not a number, because one escort mattered more than the others. Now several officers reacted. The commander enlarged the route further. A faint interruption appeared midway along the hidden path, tiny, almost invisible. A pause in recorded signal flow. He saw it. The younger officer saw it 1 second later. That pause, she nodded. One vessel slowed there. Why? Because it waited for confirmation. The magistrate asked immediately, confirmation from where? This time she pointed higher, not to fleet space, but to a weak signal seam near the edge of the blackout zone. A pulse line almost dismissed earlier as civilian noise. The commander enlarged it. A repeating interval appeared, perfectly even, too even. The younger officer whispered, "That is not relay drift." "No," she said quietly. "It is a signal trying to look ordinary." The commander's face hardened, because now the hidden route and the pulse connected. Someone had moved escorts through an erased line while masking timing through civilian frequencies. The magistrate rose slightly from his seat. "Who receives that signal?" She looked at the pulse once more, then answered with the sentence that made the entire chamber still. "Someone who already knew where your fleet was supposed to be looking." That landed like pressure, because that no longer suggested enemy movement alone. It suggested inside knowledge. Someone had hidden escort movement using command assumptions. The younger officer checked signal repetition again, then froze. "It repeats every 11 seconds. The commander looked at him sharply. 11 seconds. Exactly matching the blackout timing error she had noticed first. The magistrate spoke lower now. "If this signal is tied to escort movement..." He stopped, because the implication had arrived before words did. The commander finished it for him. Then someone inside command gave the route clearance. No one laughed now. No one moved casually. The chamber had crossed too far into something military authority hated most. Proof that invisibility had not come from superior enemy force, but from someone understanding exactly where command would fail to look. The commander turned back to her. "One question." She waited. "How did you notice the signal?" For the first time, her answer came softer than before, because this one belonged less to logic than memory. "My father said military deception always breathes too evenly." A pause. Then, "And this signal never breathed like civilian power." The room held that sentence longer than expected, because now her knowledge no longer felt accidental. It felt inherited, and somewhere above them, the tactical map updated silently, revealing that one escort formation in the eastern sector was no longer where command believed it had been 10 minutes earlier. The first officer to notice the update did not speak immediately. His eyes fixed on the eastern sector, then narrowed, as if hoping the shift would correct itself before anyone else saw it. It did not. A formation marker that should have remained anchored near outer defense had moved, slightly at first, then enough to break alignment with every official deployment line on the map. The silver-marked commander saw it a second later. "Freeze eastern grid." The projection obeyed. The chamber darkened around the enlarged sector as command layers replaced judicial overlays. What had begun as testimony now looked fully like live military review. The younger tactical officer checked the formation twice, then once more. "Escort line 4 is missing," the magistrate stood. "Missing or delayed?" "Neither," the commander said. "Relocated." The word landed heavily because relocation required authorization, and no authorization had been issued inside the chamber. The human looked at the eastern grid without surprise. "They moved when the signal repeated." The commander turned sharply. "You expected that?" "No, I expected they were already late." Again, the answer arrived with unsettling calm. The younger officer expanded signal intervals beside the escort path. The 11-second pulse continued, steady, controlled, quietly repeating beneath civilian frequency noise. And every pulse aligned almost perfectly with the missing formation's last visible movement. The magistrate's voice lowered. "Someone is still guiding them." The commander issued an immediate order to command control. "Open upper fleet channel." A clerk obeyed. No response. He tried again through reserve command. Still nothing. A third officer checked the relay grid, then looked up. "Fleet channel is receiving, but not answering." That changed the room instantly. Receiving meant the channel was open. Silence meant someone had chosen not to reply. The commander stepped toward the projection. "Who has direct line to Escort 4? The answer came quickly. "Eastern Judicial Logistics Relay." The magistrate frowned. "That relay belongs to civilian oversight. Not if someone buried command access under it," the younger officer said. Now the hidden route she had pointed to earlier made new sense. The lower support line, the signal pulse, the escort shift. None of it sat separate anymore. They formed one structure. The human raised her eyes toward the eastern sector, then pointed again, not at the missing escort line, at the space above it. A quiet civilian band no officer had enlarged because nothing there looked dangerous. Until now. "Look higher." The commander obeyed. A faint cluster emerged, cold signatures holding still inside civilian traffic lanes. Small, dark, almost invisible under supply movement. The younger officer leaned in. "How long has that cluster been there?" The clerk checked timestamps, then his expression changed. 41 minutes. The magistrate stared. "During the hearing?" "Yes." A silence followed that felt heavier than all earlier laughter combined. Because while the court questioned whether her report mattered, something had already positioned itself above them. The commander widened the cluster. 5 signatures, then 7. No transponders, no registered freight identity. Too disciplined to be civilian, too still to be accidental. The human spoke quietly. They waited until Escort 4 committed. The commander understood immediately. Decoy. The younger officer followed the geometry. The hidden escorts below, silent cluster above, signal pulses between them. One move drawing command attention outward, another preparing to strike where command would hesitate longest. The magistrate asked the only question left. "Target?" The projection generated 3 possible arcs: orbital batteries, command relay, judicial chamber. But one line held stronger than the others, a direct approach cutting toward upper administrative sectors. The commander's face hardened. "Not us." The human studied the line, then corrected him. "Not first." That answer drew every eye again. She pointed lower. A smaller line beneath the main attack arc. One vessel hidden behind the cluster, centered too carefully. "Only one matters." The younger officer magnified the center signature, and there it was, a narrow vessel shielded behind broader movement, using the cluster to force delayed response. The commander issued immediate battery preparation, then stopped when she spoke again. "Wait." He looked at her. "If you fire now, the outer ships collapse inward." He checked formation spread. She was right. The geometry allowed central compression if batteries committed too early. The center vessel wanted panic fire, wanted command to break its own targeting lines. The commander lowered his hand slowly. "How long?" She watched the moving center signature. "Until it crosses battery blind angle." The chamber counted in silence. 8 seconds. 6. 4. The center vessel crossed the lower edge of battery arc. Now! The commander fired. The upper chamber flashed white through the projection. A direct strike cut through the center vessel before the outer cluster could collapse inward. The formation broke exactly as she predicted. 2 ships collided, one lost vector, another drifted wide enough for reserve batteries to catch it. Alarms burst through the chamber a second later. This time, no one mistook them for distant warning, because command already knew. The attack had been real, but incomplete, and if one strike had depended on hidden routes and missing escorts, then someone inside the court had known exactly how long command would stay distracted. The alarms continued for several seconds after the last strike faded from the projection, but no one in the chamber moved with panic anymore, because something had changed more deeply than the attack itself. Every officer now understood that the humans standing below the judges had predicted the sequence before command recognized the pattern. The silver-marked commander lowered his hand from the battery controls and looked directly at her. Not as witness, not yet as ally either. As a problem that required explanation. State your full assignment history. The magistrate turned slightly, surprised by the abrupt shift, but did not interrupt. Because the question made immediate sense now. She had identified an erased corridor, recognized a disguised signal, predicted escort timing, and understood strike geometry in live command conditions. No civilian testimony explained that by accident. She answered simply, outer maintenance sector, relay cooling systems, lift infrastructure, civilian repair designation 12. The younger tactical officer checked the file already opening beside the projection. No military marks, no strategic access, routine labor records. For how many cycles? 4. And before that, transit labor. Where? She named 3 stations. Each appeared instantly on archive display. Minor civilian stations, low clearance labor routes, no command attachment visible. The magistrate frowned. No tactical education. No military registry. No. The commander stepped closer. Then explain how you recognize shadow signaling before officers trained for fleet analysis. She looked briefly at the pulse line still frozen above the eastern sector. I noticed rhythm. That explains timing, the younger officer said, not doctrine. It explains when something is pretending badly. Again, silence, because her answer irritated precisely by sounding reasonable. The commander asked more directly, who taught you old route memory? This time she paused, not hesitation from fear, more like choosing whether old memory belonged in a military chamber at all. Then, my father repaired outer hull stations. The younger officer checked family registry. A civilian file surfaced, minimal, partially incomplete. The magistrate asked, military stations? Stations old enough to still keep painted walls. That answer drew the commander's attention immediately. Old painted walls meant pre-digital corridor markings, physical route memory surviving beneath updated systems. He continued, which station? Karen 4. That changed the room. The younger officer looked sharply toward the commander, because Karen 4 sat near eastern reconstruction lines after the treaty period. Close enough to dead corridor infrastructure that older military layers had once remained physically visible during repairs. The file opened further, then stopped under restricted archive lock. The clerk looked uncertain. There is an upper seal on her father's registry. The magistrate straightened. A civilian repair file is sealed? The clerk checked twice. Yes. The commander stepped toward the terminal. Open it. Denied. He entered command clearance. Denied again. Then, without warning, the wall projection shifted. A remote authorization override arrived. Upper command. One signature only. Director Halvek. The chamber fell silent. Because Halvek did not open civilian files during judicial hearings without reason, the archive unlocked. A second line appeared beneath her father's name. Taran Sol. Civilian structural engineer. Secondary attachment, strategic cartography consultant. The younger officer read it twice, then looked up. Strategic cartography. The magistrate turned toward her. You said he repaired hull fractures. He did. The commander's eyes narrowed. And he also worked under military route analysis. She said nothing, because now the file spoke louder than explanation. A third line appeared. Temporary assignment under Eastern Reconstruction Authority, Director Halvek. That changed the room completely. Now Upper Command had not simply noticed her file. Upper Command had once known her father directly. The magistrate spoke lower. Why was this buried? The clerk read the archive note. Post-collapse confidentiality order after Karen 4 evacuation. Signed by? Again, the answer came heavier than expected. Director Halvek. The younger officer looked between the file and the human. So, Upper Command erased his strategic attachment after the collapse. The commander checked the wall projection, where Halvek's authorization still glowed faintly, then asked the question forming beneath all the others. Did your father ever show you old maps? For the first time since entering the chamber, her expression changed, only slightly. Recognition older than tactical focus. A memory surfacing before she answered. Yes. No one moved. The commander continued. How many? She looked at the dead corridor still glowing above the chamber, then at the hidden lower support line, and answered quietly. 2. That sentence landed harder than the alarms had, because one old map explained corridor memory. 2 meant there was still something Command had not yet seen, and somewhere above them, a new message entered the command wall from Director Halvek himself. Only one line. Ask her if he named the second one. The message remained on the command wall for only a second, but everyone in the chamber saw it. That alone changed the atmosphere again. Until then, Director Halvek had existed only as distant authority, an upper signature unlocking archives, a silent force moving behind sealed files. But a direct instruction during a live hearing meant something else. Whatever she remembered now mattered to Command more than the attack they had just stopped. The silver-marked commander looked from the wall back to her. What did he call the second map? For the first time since the hearing began, she did not answer immediately. The pause was small, but visible enough that even the magistrate noticed it. Not uncertainty. Memory. A phrase returning from somewhere older than the chamber, older than military projections, older than the dead corridor floating above them. Then she said, the silent exit. No one spoke, because the name itself carried no official meaning, and yet the commander's face changed before anyone else reacted. He knew the phrase. That was clear enough. The younger tactical officer noticed it instantly. You've heard it. The commander did not deny it. Instead, he turned toward the tactical map and activated deeper archive layers beneath the dead corridor. Nothing appeared at first. Then a lower foundation seam surfaced, thin, curved, almost erased beneath judicial infrastructure. The magistrate frowned. That line should not exist. It exists, she said quietly. It was built before the court. The older judge leaned forward. Where does it go? She looked at the seam. Under authority. Again, silence. Because the answer sounded less like geography and more like accusation. The commander widened the lower structure. Ancient support architecture emerged beneath the chamber floor. Old reinforcement grids, sealed transit cavities, forgotten evacuation channels from the building's military past. And there, beneath the eastern side of the court, ran a narrow passage almost perfectly hidden under foundation shielding. The younger officer checked structural age. Emergency evacuation transit decommissioned. She shook her head. Only renamed. That landed harder, because renamed systems survive. Destroyed ones do not. The magistrate stepped down from his platform. You saw this as a child. My father showed me where old exits stay when people pretend they're gone. The commander studied the lower seam more carefully now. If this route remained usable, he stopped. Because one thing became obvious the moment the line touched current structure. The passage rose directly beneath the eastern wall of the chamber itself. A command clerk checked lower sensors, then looked up sharply. There's interference. Every head turned. Where? The lower seam brightened. A small static bloom appeared under the eastern side of the court. Weak, irregular. At first, almost nothing. Then it pulsed again. Closer. The younger officer magnified it. Movement. The magistrate's voice lowered. How deep? 8 meters. The commander drew his side weapon immediately, because 8 meters beneath the chamber meant whoever knew the silent exit had not merely used it once in history. Someone might be inside it now. The human looked at the sensor pulse only once, then said quietly, "One person." The younger officer frowned. "How can you tell?" "One pause every 7 rungs." The commander checked the movement rhythm. She was right. Not heavy descent. Controlled climbing. A trained body moving carefully upward through an old shaft. The chamber guards aligned instantly along the eastern side, weapons raised. The magistrate stepped back from the wall without meaning to. No one in the room treated the hearing as judicial anymore. The static stopped. That silence felt worse than movement, because whoever climbed had reached the upper hatch and chosen stillness. Then, a tiny mechanical release sounded behind the eastern ceremonial panel. Dust fell first. A narrow seam opened in the wall, not forced, unlocked, as if the hidden hatch had always remained operational beneath decorative stone. A gloved hand emerged from the darkness, steady, holding a black data cylinder. No weapon, no threat, just the cylinder. The commander kept his weapon trained. "Identify yourself." A voice answered from below the wall opening, low, controlled, older. "Former archive relay." The magistrate frowned. "Name." No answer. Instead, the voice said something that froze the room more completely than the hidden passage itself. He said if Halvek ever asked about the second map, a pause. Then, "This must reach her before anyone else." The hand remained extended, offering the cylinder directly toward the human. And for the first time since the hearing began, every officer present understood the same thing. Whatever her father had left behind, someone beneath the court had waited years to deliver it at exactly the moment command remembered his name. No one crossed the chamber immediately. The gloved hand remained extended through the narrow opening in the eastern wall, holding the black cylinder as if time itself had narrowed to that one object. The silver-marked commander kept his weapon raised, but he did not order the guards to fire, because whoever stood beneath the chamber had already proven one thing. If the silent exit still existed, command no longer understood how many older systems remained alive beneath the court. The magistrate spoke first. "Why now?" The voice below answered calmly. "Because Halvek asked the correct question." That answer irritated everyone precisely because it sounded like someone had expected command to fail until a specific memory returned. The commander's eyes shifted toward the human. "Take it." She stepped forward, slowly, not because she feared the hand, because the seal engraved on the cylinder had already caught her attention, a narrow diagonal line across a circular mark, old archive locking. The moment she touched it, her expression changed almost invisibly. Recognition. The younger tactical officer noticed. "You've seen that seal." She nodded once. "On my father's work table." The chamber stayed silent. Because now, even the object itself connected directly to erased history. The cylinder felt heavier than modern storage units. Older alloy, manual lock instead of digital access. Something built to survive deletion. The commander lowered his weapon slightly. "Open it!" She turned the side release. Nothing happened. The voice below the wall spoke again. "Rotate left first." She did. A mechanical click answered. Then the cylinder unfolded. Amber light rose upward. Not blue like current tactical systems, but pale amber, the tone of older projection technology. A map appeared above her hands, and the chamber changed instantly. Because the new line floating in amber did not match any route already open in command layers. The dead corridor remained visible. The silent exit beneath the court remained visible. But beneath both, a third line emerged, straight where modern corridors curved, hidden where command grids thickened. Built not to serve traffic, but to avoid being seen. The younger officer stepped closer. "That route is not archived." The commander's expression hardened. "Because it was removed." The magistrate looked at the amber line. "Removed by whom?" No one answered immediately. The voice below the wall did. "By the same office that buried Taran's soul after Karan 4. That sentence landed heavily, because now erased maps, buried files, and hidden passages belonged to the same silence. The commander enlarged the amber route. It crossed beneath the silent exit, avoided dead corridor checkpoints, and rose toward one active modern structure, a civilian building, low importance on official records, Judicial Logistics Annex, Eastern Sector. The younger officer stared. "That annex sits above live relay infrastructure." The magistrate turned sharply. "Civilian annex should not connect to fleet relay." "Officially," the commander said. The human studied the amber line longer than anyone else, then pointed near its midpoint. A tiny interruption appeared, small enough most officers would have missed it. The commander magnified it. A break in the route, not structural damage, a controlled branch. "Why stop here?" the younger officer asked. She answered quietly, "It doesn't stop, it rises." Current architecture layered over the branch, then everyone saw it. The hidden route climbed directly beneath emergency archive lifts inside the annex, a vertical shaft, still structurally hollow, still usable. The magistrate checked annex control logs, then froze. "Sub-Director Velan left judicial oversight 23 minutes ago." The younger officer looked up. "He authorized this hearing." The commander turned toward command control. "Track him." Signals searched, then found one weak movement marker inside eastern lower sectors, descending. "Toward archive lift access." The voice below the wall spoke again, this time with visible urgency beneath the calm. "He knows the relay chamber." The commander looked sharply toward the opening. "What relay chamber?" The older man finally climbed enough for his face to become visible. Thin, pale, marked by years away from upper systems. The chamber below the annex. Old command relay hidden under treaty reconstruction. The magistrate stared. "That relay was sealed." "No," the older man said. "It was renamed." The human lifted her eyes from the amber map, then said the sentence that pulled every piece together. "If Valen has this route." She looked toward the commander. And then the attack above was only to keep command watching the wrong floor. No one argued, because the geometry now fit perfectly. Escort shift, signal pulse, silent strike above, and below all of it, a hidden path leading directly to live fleet relay systems. The commander holstered his weapon halfway and turned toward the eastern doors. "Seal the annex. Move now." But before anyone reached the chamber exit, the amber map pulsed once. A faint signal appeared along the hidden line, moving, already inside the route, already descending, which meant Valen was no longer heading toward the relay chamber. He was almost there. The eastern annex had always looked too ordinary to matter. That was exactly why no one had questioned it. A narrow administrative structure attached to the judicial complex, low lighting, sealed archive elevators, document transfer corridors, maintenance access. Nothing inside its public records justified armed command response. Yet when the commander's team reached the annex doors, every internal signal was already dead. No alarms, no internal movement reports, no active access logs, which meant someone inside had shut the building into deliberate silence. The silver-marked commander signaled 2 guards left, 2 right. The magistrate stayed behind this time. No one objected, because judicial authority had already become irrelevant once hidden war architecture began opening beneath the court itself. She entered with the first tactical group. The former archive relay emerged behind them through the eastern service route, moving slower than the soldiers, but without hesitation, as if he had walked forgotten sections of the annex long before most of them were born. The lower hall smelled unused. Dry metal, dormant ventilation, old insulation. The younger tactical officer checked the wall. "Lift controls are dead." The older relay worker answered before command did. They were disconnected years ago. He touched the side panel lower than modern controls. A hidden latch released. A second mechanical switch appeared beneath. The commander looked at him. You knew this existed. I knew they forgot to erase everything. The hidden switch activated. Far below, a deep metallic sound answered. A lift waking from beneath layers of sealed years. The commander turned to her. Your father knew this route too? She looked at the shaft indicator rising slowly. He knew every route people stopped admitting existed. The doors opened. Inside, the lift was old enough to predate current military coding. Manual rails, amber sidelights, reinforced alloy walls built before modern energy shielding became standard. The descent began immediately. No one spoke while the lift moved, because every meter downward confirmed the same truth. Entire levels had remained under official command structures without appearing in any current map. At level 4, below Judicial Foundation, the lift stopped. The doors opened into darkness. Then emergency amber strips flickered alive. A long corridor stretched ahead, older than the court above, wider than necessary, lined with sealed relay housings and obsolete transmission pillars. And at the far end, one door stood open, fresh, forced recently. The younger officer moved first, weapon raised, then stopped. Signal source ahead. The commander advanced. Inside the relay chamber, the architecture widened into a circular transmission room, built around a central uplink column, still faintly active beneath layers of supposed shutdown. And standing before it, Sub-Director Valen. He did not run. He did not reach for a weapon. He stood at the relay core, with one hand resting on an opened command panel, watching them arrive as though he had expected the timing exactly. His expression held no panic, only irritation. You came faster than projected. The commander raised his weapon fully. Step away from the relay. Velan glanced once toward the human, and for the first time, real recognition crossed his face. So, you were alive. The sentence hit harder than accusation because it carried familiarity, not surprise, recognition. The commander noticed immediately. You know her. Valen ignored him. His eyes remained fixed on her. Your father should have left when he understood what Karen 4 actually protected. The relay worker behind them stiffened. The younger officer looked sharply at the commander. Karen 4 protected something? Valen smiled faintly. Not something, timing. The commander advanced one step. What were you sending? Valen finally touched the panel beside him. The relay core brightened. A transmission queue appeared. Short burst packet, already partially encoded. Destination unknown. The younger officer checked the outgoing path and froze. External fleet edge. The commander's voice sharpened. To whom? Valen answered calmly. To whoever still remembers why your command buried that map. The chamber tightened instantly, because that meant the hidden war had never ended, only changed hands. The human stepped forward before anyone stopped her. You delayed the hearing, so the relay would clear after court lockdown. Valen's eyes narrowed. You hear patterns too quickly. You moved guards upward because you needed lower sectors empty. He did not deny it. The commander realized it 1 second later. The attack above was yours. A necessary distraction. The relay worker looked at the transmission timer. 7 seconds. The commander moved toward the relay. Valen hit manual lock. Steel barriers slammed halfway down around the core. The timer continued. 6. The younger officer fired at the lock housing. The shot ricocheted. 5. The commander reached the side override. No response. 4. Then the human saw something no one else did. A second physical switch beneath the relay panel. Old architecture, pre-digital, same generation as the cylinder lock, same design language. She moved past the commander. 3. Pressed the hidden lower release. The relay core cut instantly. Transmission died. Complete silence filled the chamber. For the first time, Valen lost control of his expression, because he had not expected anyone in that room to recognize a manual override hidden inside obsolete architecture. His stare remained fixed on her. Then he said quietly, "Of course he taught you the old systems." The commander seized him before he could reach anything else. But even while restrained, Velen did not look defeated. He looked almost relieved, which felt worse. Because people who fail and still remain calm usually know something others have not yet understood. And before anyone spoke again, the relay core, though dead, lit one final amber pulse by itself. One single stored message surfaced on the upper screen. Not from Velen, already waiting there before he arrived. A message older than the interrupted transmission. A file header, archived under one erased name, Taran Sol, Final Relay. No one touched the relay immediately. Even Velen, now restrained between two guards, lifted his eyes toward the amber header with visible tension for the first time since they had entered the chamber. Because that file should not have existed. If it remained inside the relay core, then someone had hidden it beneath every official purge that followed Karen 4. The silver-marked commander looked at the header, then at her. You open it. Again. The same pattern. The same impossible repetition from the hearing chamber to the relay room. Systems built before current command responded to her presence more naturally than to anyone carrying official authority. She stepped toward the relay core. The amber screen held only one line beneath the archived name. Authorized memory path required. The younger tactical officer frowned. That protocol was erased decades ago. The relay worker behind them answered softly, not erased, buried under newer language. She placed her hand on the lower console. Nothing happened. Then she noticed the same diagonal seal engraved beneath the panel edge, the mark from the black cylinder. Not touch activation, sequence activation. Her fingers moved across 3 mechanical contact points almost instinctively. Left, center, lower edge. A click answered. Amber light widened. Then the file opened. At first, there was no image, only audio. Her father's voice entered the chamber, older than memory, calm, direct, unmistakably recorded under pressure. If this file opens, command failed to bury the second layer completely. No one moved. Even Velen stopped resisting. Because dead voices carry a kind of authority living people cannot interrupt. The voice continued. Charon 4 was never a battle over territory. It was a timing corridor. A projection surfaced above the relay. Not one map, 3, layered over each other. The dead corridor, the silent exit, and beyond both, a much larger structure extending far outside judicial territory. The commander stared. That's not city architecture. No, her father's voice said. It is fleet alignment. The projection widened further. Old relay corridors beneath the city connected directly to long-range fleet synchronization chambers hidden under treaty reconstruction zones. The younger officer understood first. They built command timing into civilian infrastructure. Because after Karen 4, the voice answered, they feared fleet seizure from outside less than command betrayal from inside. The chamber stayed silent, because that sentence explained too much too quickly. Velen looked away. The commander did not. The voice continued. If the second map returns, it means internal authority has reopened contact with the external remnants. The younger officer turned sharply toward Velen. External remnants? The answer came from the recording before anyone else could speak. The war never ended. It split. The projection shifted again. Old fleet sectors appeared, half marked active, half erased. Then one region flashed beyond official borders. No treaty flag, no command mark, no judicial record. A hidden surviving fleet network outside recognized territory. The commander's expression hardened. They survived. They withdrew, the recording corrected, and waited. Velen finally spoke, unable to remain silent. They preserved continuity when command surrendered strategy to politics. The commander struck him hard enough to silence him, but the father's voice continued over the impact. If someone inside judicial command attempts relay contact, it means timing has matured. The human looked at the projection carefully. One small marker pulsed near the outer hidden fleet, then another marker lit, inside the city, already active. The younger officer stepped closer. There's another relay. The relay worker behind them whispered, Of course there is. The commander enlarged the city layer. A second signal source appeared nowhere near the annex. Higher, closer, inside command territory itself. For the first time, the commander's face lost certainty. Where? The projection answered before any system could. A vertical line rose directly through upper command architecture, then stopped. At central strategic control. No one spoke for several seconds, because that location meant the hidden contact was no longer beneath forgotten history. It was inside active authority now. The father's voice returned one final time. If this reaches my daughter, listen to her before you listen upward. Then the recording ended. No farewell, no explanation. Only that final sentence suspended in amber. And somehow that silence hit harder than everything before it. The commander looked at her, not like a witness anymore, not even like a civilian carrying impossible memory, now like someone standing between current command and an older system still choosing who to trust. Valen smiled faintly despite restraint, because he understood what the commander had understood. If a second relay existed inside strategic control, then someone above them had already received the message he failed to send, or had been waiting for it all along. The return lift felt slower than the descent, not because the machinery changed, because every person inside it now understood that the danger was no longer hidden beneath the court. It was above them, inside active command. Valen remained restrained between two guards, but his silence had changed shape. He no longer looked like someone captured. He looked like someone waiting to see whether the people around him were ready for what came next. The silver-marked commander said nothing during the ascent. Neither did she. The father's final sentence still echoed louder than the relay machinery. Listen to her before you listen upward. The lift doors opened directly into the annex corridor, and before anyone stepped out, the younger tactical officer checked upper network traffic, then froze. Strategic control just locked all lower command channels. The commander turned sharply. By whose authority? The answer appeared instantly. Acting High Command, Director Halvek. No one moved for half a second. Because Halvek had ordered the hearing. Halvek had triggered archive release. Halvek had demanded the second map. And now, Halvek had sealed communications immediately after the relay file surfaced. Valen finally spoke again. Now you understand timing. The commander shoved him forward toward the corridor, but his pace accelerated. Not toward detention, toward command. By the time they crossed the judicial bridge into upper strategic control, internal security teams were already positioned along both sides of the entrance hall. Too many for ordinary containment. Too calm for surprise. The commander stopped, because security lines were not aimed at intruders. They were aimed inward, at him, at his own group. The lead security officer stepped forward. Director Halvek requests only the witness. The commander did not lower his weapon. She is not moving alone. The officer remained expressionless. Those are direct command instructions. Then the upper doors opened before anyone could escalate further. Director Halvek appeared alone. No escort, no visible weapon. Tall, precise, expression unreadable. Older than most officers in the hall, but carrying the kind of authority that did not need volume. Her eyes went first to Valen, then to the human, then briefly to the commander. You interrupted the relay. It was not a question. The commander answered carefully. He attempted external contact. Halvek nodded once. Yes. No denial, no shock, which immediately changed the air again. The younger tactical officer spoke before protocol stopped him. You knew? Halvek looked at him only briefly. I knew someone would try once the second map resurfaced. Valen laughed quietly despite restraint. You waited until she opened it. Halvek ignored him. Instead, she looked directly at the human. Your father expected that too. The commander's voice hardened. You buried his file. No, Halvek said calmly. I hid it where command above me could not erase it. That sentence hit differently because it carried no defense, only fatigue. The security lines behind her did not move. She stepped aside. Come. This time even the commander hesitated, because Halvek was no longer speaking like superior authority. She was speaking like someone who had spent years delaying a moment she knew would eventually arrive. They entered strategic control. The central chamber was larger than the court below, glass command walls, fleet layers, tactical columns, and at the center, one active signal already waited on the main projection. Not incoming, connected, the hidden outer fleet. Live, the younger officer stared. Someone opened the second relay. Halvek answered, no, they opened it when Valen failed to close this one. A second signal marker blinked inside strategic control, at the command wall itself. The commander looked upward, then understood. The Central Command Corps had never merely monitored hidden channels. It had always contained one. Halvek turned toward the human. Your father mapped systems no one else could read because he still understood pre-war architecture. Then, for the first time, Halvek's voice lost its absolute calm. You recognize old systems the same way. The outer fleet signal intensified. A request entered the chamber. Not military code, not threat code. A single phrase, identify authorized memory holder. The commander looked at Halvek. What answers that? Halvek did not touch the console. Neither did the commander. Neither could, because everyone in the room already knew. The same mechanical sequence appeared beneath the command wall. 3 lower contact points hidden under modern interface glass. Old architecture beneath new authority. The human stepped forward, placed her fingers where her father's relay had taught without teaching. Left. Center. Lower edge. The wall answered. Amber light replaced blue across the entire chamber. The outer signal opened immediately. No fleet appeared, no faces, only a voice. Older than current command, calm, measured, waiting. Authorization confirmed. The chamber fell silent. Then the voice asked, is Taryn's soul dead? No one answered fast enough. She did. Yes. A long pause followed. Then we continue with his witness. Even Halvek lowered her eyes for 1 second. Because the sentence meant one irreversible truth. The hidden fleet had not returned for command, not for the court, not for the military hierarchy that survived Karen IV. They had waited for the one person who could still read what older systems refused to forget. And when the commander looked at her now, it was no longer as witness, civilian, or accidental survivor. It was as the only person in the room. Every buried structure kept choosing first.